April of 2016. A quiet suburb in New South Wales drifts into dusk, the kind of evening where nothing feels out of place, until a young student vanishes on her way home. Days later, far from the city, in a rugged coastal hollow carved by the sea, a sight emerges that shatters the calm. And the most chilling part, the trail does not lead to a stranger. It circles back toward someone far too close. What happened in those missing hours? And why would a place of safety turn into a point of no return? Welcome to True Crime Vault. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss the hidden truths behind real criminal case files. Today, we revisit the case of Michelle Lang. Mangmi Lang, a vibrant spirit of 25, journeyed far from her Chengdu, China home, seeking to etch her dreams onto the Australian landscape in Campsie, New South Wales. Embracing her new chapter, she chose the name Michelle, a fresh start in a land of opportunity. As an only child, the tragic passing of her father in 2008 forged an unbreakable bond between Michelle and her mother, May. May remembered her daughter as a beacon of empathy, a soul who instinctively carried the weight of others, always extending a hand, even when burdened by her own struggles. In 2011, Michelle bravely embarked on her Australian academic adventure, a daunting leap across oceans and cultures. While May felt the pang of separation and the familiar anxiety of a mother, she swelled with undeniable pride, witnessing her daughter's unwavering determination to break free from the comfortable and familiar, choosing instead to chase her ambitions. May poured every last penny, every ounce of her being, into supporting Michelle's aspirations, fueled by the unshakable belief in the remarkable achievements her daughter was capable of. Achievements that would not only elevate Michelle, but also honor the memory of her late father. Michelle found a home away from home with her aunt, uncle, and cousin in Campsie, a suburb nestled in the heart of New South Wales, a welcoming haven amidst a foreign land. Once settled, she diligently sent every spare dollar back to her mother, a tangible expression of her unwavering love and profound sense of responsibility. This was not just money, it was a lifeline, a symbol of her commitment to the woman who had sacrificed everything for her dreams. Fast forward to 2016. Michelle had blossomed in her adopted country over 5 years. Her roots, now intertwined with the Australian soil, she had cultivated a close-knit circle of friends, drawn to her warmth and genuine spirit. She adored her surroundings, finding beauty in the everyday moments of her new life. Academically, she soared, exceeding expectations and embracing every challenge with unwavering dedication. After earning a business degree from the University of Technology, Sydney, she enrolled at the Sydney Institute of Interpreting and Translation, driven by a desire to refine her skills and embark on a promising career, a career that would bridge cultures and connect people through the power of language. April 21, 2016, dawned warm and inviting, a day brimming with promise. That afternoon, Michelle met up with friends near the University of Technology, their laughter echoing through the bustling campus. They bid her farewell as she boarded a bus, mentioning she was headed to Pitt Street Mall for some leisurely shopping, a well-deserved break from her studies. She spent time browsing the shops, purchasing a few items, small tokens of joy amidst her busy life. Before catching a train at St. James Station, just before 4 p.m., she arrived at Campsie Station. Around 4:30 p.m., ready to return to her apartment. Eager to unwind and perhaps connect with her mother back in China, Michelle had been in contact with her friends throughout the late afternoon, sharing snippets of her day. But then, abruptly, silence. Her phone went unanswered. Her usually active social media remained dormant, the digital echoes of her vibrant personality vanishing without a trace. She was nowhere to be found on campus the following morning, her absence a jarring note in the familiar rhythm of university life. Although her sudden disappearance raised immediate concerns among her friends and classmates, a sense of unease that gnawed at their hearts. Several agonizing days passed before anyone officially reported her missing, a delay that would forever haunt them. 4 agonizing days later, her aunt returned from a weekend getaway, the joy of her trip instantly replaced with a chilling dread as she discovered that Michelle had vanished, leaving behind an apartment eerily silent and devoid of her vibrant presence. She and her husband, Derek, immediately rushed to the police station to file a missing person report, their voices trembling with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Her friends recounted that Michelle had acted normally that day, showing no signs of distress or unusual behavior, a detail that deepened the mystery and heightened the sense of foreboding. CCTV footage showed Michelle wearing jeans, a long-sleeved gray top, and carrying a distinctive red bag on her shoulder, a vibrant splash of color against the grayness of her disappearance. She appeared to be alone in the shops and didn't seem outwardly troubled. Her demeanor seemingly normal, yet beneath the surface, a sinister plot was unfolding. The security video captured her shopping at Mir in Pitt Street Mall around 3 p.m., where she bought a juice, a simple act of refreshment, before taking the 4:30 p.m. train from St. James Station to Campsie, unknowingly embarking on her final journey. Close friends told police they hadn't heard from her since late Thursday night, the silence stretching into an unbearable void. While worried friends circulated her image on social media, their desperate pleas echoing across the digital landscape. News stations over 60 miles away were reporting a grim discovery, a chilling counterpoint to their hopes. At Snapper Point Blowhole, the New South Wales Central Coast, a picturesque but treacherous area known for its slippery rocks and jagged edges, a place where the beauty of nature masked hidden dangers, a tourist spotted a body floating in the water. It was a person lying face down, lifeless, their form eerily still against the turbulent backdrop of the ocean. At 10:30 a.m., a paramedic was lowered from a helicopter to retrieve the body. The worry blades a stark reminder of the urgency and gravity of the situation. It was a young woman, and it quickly became apparent that this was no accidental death, no tragic misstep on the perilous cliffs. This was something far more sinister. She was naked and riddled with stab wounds, nearly 40 in total, a gruesome testament to the brutality of the attack. With the fatal blow delivered to her throat, silencing her forever. She had fought valiantly against her attacker, her body bearing the marks of her desperate struggle, but had ultimately succumbed to a brutal and terrifying end. Her life extinguished in a remote and unforgiving location. Police surmised that the body had likely been left at the blowhole, rather than washed ashore from elsewhere, a deliberate act of disposal. The detective chief inspector noted that the seas had been particularly rough that day, yet the woman's body showed no significant injuries from the rocks. A crucial piece of evidence that pointed to a calculated act of violence. So, we're working on the assumption that the most likely possibility was she went in the water at the blowhole. It was just after 10:30 this morning. Police were called to Snapper Point following reports a woman's body, was found face down in a blowhole. Post-mortem revealed that the woman had suffered a number of wounds, significantly, some stab wounds. Our interpretation of the situation is that she suffered a violent assault prior to her death. The description of the woman, who we at this point in time have not identified, is an Asian female aged between 20 and 35. Medium build, shoulder-length hair. She has no distinguishing tattoos or scars on her body. Her body was naked when it was found in the water, and all jewelry had been removed. Anybody who knows this woman, or knows anything about this crime, is urged to contact police. The New South Wales Homicide Squad released a computer-generated image of the unidentified woman. A young Asian female with shoulder-length dark hair, a stark and haunting representation of a life tragically cut short. They dubbed her the Snapper Point Blowhole, Jane Doe, a nameless victim in a case that would soon grip the nation. As the story spread, online sleuths began to connect the dots between the missing Michelle and the woman found in the water. Their amateur investigation, driven by a shared sense of horror and a desire to bring justice to the unknown victim. DNA confirmed their worst fears. It was the 25-year-old student, Michelle Lang. Her dreams shattered, her life stolen. The investigation moved swiftly, fueled by public outrage and the unwavering determination of law enforcement. Within a day, police had made an arrest, the speed of the operation a testament to their commitment to finding justice for Michelle. Everyone in Michelle's family and inner circle had been interviewed at length, their lives scrutinized under the intense glare of the investigation. Her apartment had been meticulously searched, every corner examined for clues, and all technological evidence had been scrutinized, revealing the dark secrets hidden within the digital realm. Tracing a car captured on camera, entering the national park 4 hours before Michelle's body was discovered. Investigators identified their prime suspect, her uncle, Derek Barrett, the same uncle with whom she lived and who had helped report her missing. The very man who had offered her a home in a foreign land, now revealed as her executioner. Derek, 27, had married Michelle's aunt a few years prior. Little was known about his background, other than his previous work in it and his recent unemployment, a detail that offered a glimpse into his troubled state. A search of Derek's phone revealed disturbing images, a digital Pandora's box unleashing unspeakable horrors. Photos of Michelle bound and gagged on her bed, with duct tape and a white cloth covering her mouth, her eyes wide with terror. Police described the expression on her face as haunting, an image that would forever be etched in their memories, a chilling reminder of the evil that lurked beneath the surface. The mother of murdered student Michelle Lang has thanked police and the Australian Chinese community who have been helping her family through this terrible time. Mrs. Zhang says words can't describe the pain she feels over the loss of her only child. A fund has also been set up to help pay for Michelle's funeral and take care of her mother. Derek was denied bail and remained silent as the charges were read aloud in court, his silence a stark contrast to the uproar surrounding him. 2 months later, he faced 27 additional charges, including detaining a person for advantage and indecent assault, the weight of his crimes growing with each new accusation. Police believed, based on the timeline established through CCTV footage and phone data, that Derek had attacked Michelle almost immediately upon her return home, his sinister plan set in motion. With the house empty, he had restrained her in her bedroom and assaulted her, his motive purely sexual, a horrifying betrayal of trust. At some point, Michelle's cousin arrived home, unaware of the horrifying scene unfolding just feet away. The normalcy of everyday life juxtaposed against the brutal reality within. Police could not determine how long Derek held Michelle captive, only that she was killed sometime between 4:45 p.m. on Thursday, April 21st, and 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, April 24th, a period of unspeakable torment for the young student. On the morning of April 24th, he wrapped her body in plastic and drove to Snapper Point. His phone data, tracking his every move, a digital trail leading to his ultimate act of depravity. He stopped to buy snacks before proceeding to the blowhole and throwing her over the cliff. A chillingly mundane act preceding an act of unimaginable horror. Tragically, Michelle was thrown into the very area she had excitedly photographed and shared on Instagram during a trip a couple of years earlier, a place that held cherished memories now forever tainted by her murder. A man will face court today, after he allegedly killed a Chinese student and dumped her body on the New South Wales Central Coast. In April 2016, Derek was formally charged with murder and pleaded not guilty, his denial a further insult to Michelle's memory. Michelle's family, having flown in from China upon hearing the news, their hearts shattered by grief, attended every court appearance, seeking justice for their beloved daughter. Michelle Lang's distraught mother, supported in court by the wife of the man accused of fatally stabbing her daughter, Michelle's mother left court, promising to speak publicly about her daughter tomorrow. Just what kind of a person was she? Like an engine. In China, the case made national headlines, sparking concern among international students in Sydney and their families back home. The tragedy highlighting the vulnerabilities of those seeking opportunities far from their familiar surroundings. His lawyer said his client was not coping well in jail and was denying the allegations against him. He said obviously he is very upset, shocked. He's not finding the Sydney Police Centre particularly attractive. It's a terrible place to be incarcerated, and I can only hope he will be moved in the near future. 18 months later, in December 2017, Derek finally pleaded guilty, admitting to binding, gagging, and murdering Michelle before disposing of her body. His confession, a long-awaited acknowledgement of his heinous crimes. He also confessed to 21 other offenses, including 19 counts of filming Michelle for sexual gratification, detaining a person with intent to obtain advantage, and 3 counts of committing an act of indecency with a person aged over 16 years. The full extent of his depravity finally revealed. Derek claimed to have substance abuse issues and alleged that he had been using methamphetamine and smoking synthetic cannabis around the time of the murder, attempting to mitigate his responsibility by blaming his actions on intoxication. He asserted that he had no memory of the events of that weekend, only recalling seeing his face in the mirror and blood in the sink, a convenient amnesia that the court ultimately rejected. The judge, however, rejected these claims, deeming his distress contrived, recognizing his attempts to manipulate the narrative. A forensic psychologist, Dr. F., testified that Derek had likely feigned amnesia to avoid responsibility, adding, Derek claiming he was suffering from a methamphetamine addiction just did not ring true. I have not seen an obese methamphetamine addict. Dr. F stated that Derek showed a lack of insight into his crimes and a lack of empathy, further solidifying the court's perception of him as a calculating and remorseless killer. Taking images of the victim bound and gagged with a look of horror prior to her death and disposing of her body a long distance away are actions highly suggestive of sexual deviance, he said, highlighting the disturbing nature of his crimes. Derek wrote a letter to Michelle's mother, which read in part, I can only imagine what you are going through from your loss. Every moment of my life, I wish I could go back in time and take back that day that has caused so much pain. I let my own problems spill into the family home, and they paid dearly as a result. This moment in my life has kept me awake at night in tears, and I still have nightmares. I lost everything because of a stupid weekend. My perception of time around that period is hazy. You have no idea how it frustrates me every day trying to think of how this came about and why I went down this path. I betrayed my own family and hers for my actions. I disgusted myself. Justice Helen Wilson remained unconvinced, seeing through his carefully crafted words. He had the air in the witness box of someone playing a part and saying what he thought he should say, to present the best possible impression of himself, she observed, recognizing his attempts to manipulate the court. She condemned the crime as a despicable crime of extreme brutality and great wickedness. It was a depraved and sadistic act committed by a man in a position of trust to Miss Lang, and in a place that should have been one of safety and refuge for her. A socially inadequate man driven by sexual perversion and sadism. Derek Barrett didn't fool anyone. It's satisfying that we've got justice, but there's no joy in the matter like this. It's just an extremely sad case. Very lucky he didn't get life imprisonment. Derek Barrett stared intently at the floor of the dock throughout the entire sentencing, his tears now only for himself, a final act of self-pity. While not technically a life sentence, he could be in his 70s before being released. A virtual life sentence for a man who had stolen a young woman's future. Derek Barrett was sentenced to 46 years in prison, with a non-parole period of 34 years. A measure of justice for the unspeakable horrors he had inflicted. Look, first of all, if I could ask you to respect the privacy of the family. They're very upset, and they'll be leaving shortly. But they don't want to say anything to the media at this point in time. I'd just like to say that the murder of Miss Lang was a horrendous, senseless murder that's impacted on a lot of people's lives. The courts have recognized the seriousness of the offense by the sentence that was handed down on Mr. Barrett. Anyone that heard the facts of what's gone on. It was a horrendous matter, and the ER family are traumatized by what's gone on. That's all we've got to say. Thank you. However, the case was far from over. The horrors yet to be fully unearthed. The investigation revealed Derek's growing sexual obsession with Michelle, a disturbing undercurrent to the already tragic events. A couple of years later, a shocking discovery brought even more horror to light, plunging the case into even deeper depths of depravity. In November 2019, an elderly housebound woman with dementia was at her kitchen table when her daughter came to check on her. A routine visit that would unravel a web of unimaginable evil. The daughter found her mother holding what police described as a heavy-duty weatherproof USB drive, its purpose unknown. The woman believed it was a toy and couldn't explain how she had acquired it, the mystery of its origin adding to the unsettling nature of the discovery. When her daughter plugged the USB into her computer, she uncovered material so disturbing that she immediately contacted the police. Her actions driven by a sense of profound shock and horror. The USB contained 9 video files, totaling over an hour of footage, and 13 photographs, digital evidence of unspeakable crimes. It was Derek and Michelle. He had filmed himself raping and torturing Michelle while holding her captive in her room, his depravity reaching unimaginable heights. One video showed Michelle's hands bound so tightly that they were swollen and turning purple. The visual evidence, a harrowing testament to her suffering. At one point, Derek cut the tape with a large hunting knife, retied her hands, and said, "Now, where were we?" Before resuming his brutal assault, his words a chilling reminder of his complete lack of empathy and the calculated nature of his actions. Derek had also filmed Michelle and his stepdaughter, capturing them showering and sleeping over a period of time before the murder, revealing the scope of his perverted obsession. In some videos, he was touching himself as he watched them sleep. His actions a clear indication of his predatory behavior. Police were able to match some photos to those Derek had deleted from his phone days. Before his arrest, in an attempt to conceal his crimes, his efforts to cover his tracks ultimately futile. The woman who possessed the USB had no discernible connection to Derek, but lived a few miles from his former residence. This aspect of the case remaining a disturbing mystery, a loose thread in a tapestry of horror. As a result of the evidence found on the USB, 17 new charges were filed against him, including multiple counts of aggravated sexual assault and indecent assault, further solidifying his status as a monster. Police noted that Michelle's aunt frequently traveled to Wollongong for work, leaving her unaware of her husband's actions. A devastating revelation for a woman who had unknowingly lived alongside such evil. She was devastated and overwhelmed with guilt, the weight of her husband's crimes crushing her. When Michelle's mother received the call about the USB, she nearly fainted, the news sending shockwaves through her already shattered world. She tearfully recounted, "When the police told me the video clip showed how my daughter was degradingly raped, agonizingly tortured, a wave of faint immediately washed over me. My healthy mother was in such grief that she too passed away not long after receiving the news." The ripple effects of Derek's crimes extending far beyond Michelle's immediate circle, claiming another innocent life. How could any mother possibly endure such news? Derek Barrett pleaded guilty to the 17 new offenses, but to the family's dismay, he did not receive a new, separate sentence. A legal technicality that offered little comfort to those seeking justice for Michelle. Sadly, the law prevented it, a frustrating limitation that highlighted the complexities of the legal system. A man who admitted killing his own niece has been sentenced for a second time after a USB stick was unearthed years after he was jailed. Judge went as far as saying, if the full extent of his perverted crime was known in 2017, he would have been jailed for life. But that simply wasn't possible now. The law doesn't allow one to revisit a sentence that was imposed in 2017, because the evidence was not discovered before the initial murder trial. The judge deemed it a new aggravating factor and sentenced him to an additional 20 years in prison. However, this sentence would run concurrently with his existing murder sentence, leaving his overall sentence unchanged at 46 years. A disappointing outcome for those who believed he deserved to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. 2 years were added to his minimum non-parole period, making him eligible for parole in 2052, instead of 2050, a small victory in the face of overwhelming tragedy. This case remains one of the most twisted and depraved on record, a chilling example of the darkness that can lurk within the human heart. Michelle Lang was a hard-working, ambitious young woman, thousands of miles from home, striving to improve her life and provide a comfortable future for herself and her mother. Her dreams cut short by an act of unspeakable violence. She sought safety and security in a place she thought was trustworthy, surrounded by people she believed she could rely on, her trust tragically misplaced. For Michelle's mother, who had already lost her husband and then her daughter at the hands of someone she considered family, the tragedy has been unbearable, a pain that knows no bounds. She expressed, "We even today still cannot accept the fact that she has left us and we are still in great suffering. The time will never turn back to when Mangmi and I were living happily together. Now that my child is gone, my whole life is shattered. What is going to happen to me?" Her words, a haunting echo of a mother's grief. Testament to the enduring power of love and the devastating impact of loss. In the end, the case of Michelle Lang is more than a tragedy. It is a reminder of how fragile trust can be, and how important it is to stay aware of the quiet dangers that may hide in familiar places. Her story teaches us that safety is never something we can take for granted, even among those we believe we understand. It also shows the strength of a community, friends, investigators, and strangers coming together to seek justice for someone whose voice was taken too soon. As we close this case, let it push us to look after one another, to listen when something feels wrong, and to speak up when silence could cost a life. These lessons matter, not only for Michelle's memory, but for every person trying to build a future far from home. If you found meaning in this story, your support helps us continue documenting real cases with care, respect, and integrity. Please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the truth concealed beneath another criminal case file. And if you want to explore more stories that reveal the complexities of human behavior, we invite you to watch the next videos on our channel. Thank you for being here, and for remembering Michelle with us.